Hello everyone, just a quick word from your friendly editor/husband. For all of you who listen to So I'm Watching This Show and own an Android device, do me a favor. Go to the Google Play Store and download the Podcast Republic app. It's a fantastic app that allows you to get all of your favorite podcasts directly on your Android devices. I use the app and love it. I can search for the podcasts I want to listen to, select them as favorites, and have them all just a click away. Make sure you set So I'm Watching the Show as a favorite so you don't miss any new episodes. Again, the app is Podcast Republic, available on your Android device. Thanks!
My hip is also messed up too. I don't know why, but it's like my hip and my knee, and I'm like, you've reached an age when sleeping throws your hip out.
Yeah.
But Mike was over the other day and he was telling me that him and Katie were running and he was just trying to catch up to her, and he somehow did something to his back. And it's just, I mean, I'm aware that we're not young anymore, but it's like catching up to me.
Yeah. It's like, a lot. It's happening.
And I'm appreciating the shift in our media, because actually, to tie it into the show, they say something about him turning 50 and they're in their 40s and stuff. So it's like, it's nice to know it's not all over. I feel like they keep switching the age of Over the Hill.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, it's different now than it used to be.
Well, it was 40 for a while, and then they moved it to 50, and I was like, that feels right. I like 50.
That feels better.
I feel like on like Wishbone or something, the dad was like 35, and they were like, Over the Hill, and I was like, oi.
No, thank you.
Hello, everybody. I am Will.
And I'm Kristin.
And this is So I'm Watching This Show. On today's episode, we're going to talk about the Netflix series Dead to Me.
Yay!
Starring Christina Applegate and Linda Cardellini.
Mm-hmm.
I watched this one back in August, so I kind of remember it. And then I watched a couple episodes, and I found a really helpful recap on YouTube. So I now remember what all happened, but I'm sketch on some of the details, especially their names and stuff, which I'm always sketch on names, but...
Well, their names are also Jen and Judy, so it's not helpful.
I got Jen and Judy, although I think I was like, I want to keep calling her Linda for some reason. And I was like, because that's her name.
That's her real name.
Yeah, so we watched 2 episodes of it in September when we went to go see Casey Musgraves, because as we've mentioned several times, there's an embarrassment of riches when it comes to content these days. And I mentioned to you that this was a 30-minute show, and you were like, oh, sweet, I'm moving it up my list.
Yeah, that was a game changer, because I thought it was an hour long, and I was like, I don't think I have an hour-long mystery in me right now.
It's a 30-minute drama, which is becoming a welcome new.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I mentioned this to you yesterday, but I did want to go ahead and mention at the top that it is produced by Will Ferrell and Adam McKay. And I cannot remember if they launched a separate studio or it was just a concerted effort to make more content geared towards women. But this is the flagship show.
Yeah.
And bravo, I would say.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah. And not pandering in a way that sentence could sound. Do you know what I mean?
No. I mean, I don't feel pandered to at all watching this show.
And I mean, it's not exclusively for women, but it's it's female led. And I think Christina Applegate was a brilliant anchor, and to a not lesser extent, but a second extent, Linda Cardellini. And because I feel like Christina Applegate is excellent, and she's gotten a lot of due, but I don't know that she's gotten proper due.
No, and I think part of it has to do with how she became famous, which is a really ditzy.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
A series of really ditzy characters, and often, especially in that time, the 80s, that's sort of all you get.
Because she was, I mean, obviously probably not the first, but she was the sitcom actress. When she walked on stage, the whole audience screamed and hooted and hollered and stuff. So, and actually, didn't she either get a Tony or was nominated for a Tony? I think she might have one of those random things, but
I think she was nominated for Sweet Charity.
Yeah,
I think she was nominated. She's been nominated for 4 Golden Globes and 5 Emmys. She won 1 Emmy. Man, guest star for Friends.
Remember?
Wow. Yeah, I mean, she's great on that, but like that seems
that's
like
the
least of it. Yeah.
She also is one of the more legendary SNL hosts. Her episode is really good. Pull the sirens audio. No, we'll see. But yeah, okay. So we've got some stuff to cover. So season 1, what did you think?
I really liked it. There were a couple of moments. So it's the type of show that I think it's really very good, but it also, I end up having slight issues with it because I want everyone to be on the same page. So I was frequently getting mad at Linda Cardellini because I guess spoilers going forward. We know from very early that she is the one who killed Jen's husband, who killed Christina Applegate's husband, Ted. And I was like, I know that she can't tell her because it will ruin their friendship, but I also was like, you have to fucking tell her because you're just lying. And so it was like she was also weirdly kind of trying to help the investigation while also hindering it at the same time. So I was like having really mixed feelings about that. I mean, overall, yes, I really enjoyed it. These two women together are extraordinary. It's super fun. I really liked all of the stuff with James Marsden too. It just was like one tick away from being perfect because I was like, it's not like you're not being nice.
Okay.
And it was like you're not doing the right thing. You're not doing the thing you should be doing, even if it will be bad for you.
I get that. And for me, that is the crux of the show, though. That's what 100%. The show is about. Yeah. Because I think that this was a really excellent representation of female friendship.
Also, yes. Yeah. I'm like, that didn't deter my enjoyment of it at all. I was very up and down on Judy because of how she is.
The issue that I had is a result of this being a serialized. Because for me, the best ending to this story, if it was going to be a one and done, was when Judy finally confesses to being the one who killed Ted. I could literally hear in Christina's voice, Jen being like, no, you didn't. You didn't. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, because at a certain point, I feel like Jen needed to figure out. And it's absolutely not poor writing, but I think sometimes writers prioritizing the drama, prioritizing the plot over character development, it's like I think they underestimate or overestimate humanity at a certain point. I mean, with all the information that Jen has, and especially with how bad Ted seemed by the end, and with how Judy had pulled through for her, at a certain point, she would value. And not just the friendship, but it's like she is also herself, like they're surviving together as a unit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's what I kept waiting for, was for her to be like, of course you did. Yes, I know. And we're not going to talk about it. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
And it was in character for Jen from what we saw. It was made very clear that she could run hot and cold that way.
Yeah, that's the other thing too, is I think I really enjoyed that both of them are unlikable. They're just kind of ridiculous, horrible people to the point where women. Just super messy women who like are not really very considerate of each other or the other people in their lives. Like especially Christina Applegate's real estate partner, Christopher, was like, when he broke up with her after she called that woman a twat, it was hilarious. And I just was like, I mean, she had just seen the crime scene photos of her husband, her dead husband. It's awful. It's truly awful. But like, at that point, it's like, why don't you take point on this? I can't be in my world right now. And she's just so relentlessly unwilling to take a break. And I understand that that's a coping mechanism, but it's one of the things that I was like, man, you are heading for a fall. And she gets there too.
And that's exactly what I mean, where it was like, by that point, she's only surviving because of Judy. So it's like they need each other by the end. And
yeah, definitely.
you know, one of the episodes that we did see together was when they go to confront Ted's mistress, and you were
Bambi.
Yeah, you were just like, poor Bambi. Like, somebody needs to check on Bambi.
Yeah, it just like that part I guess it didn't hurt my feelings, but I was like, you know, Jen the whole time was like, I'm just need to punch her like in the face. And I was like, it's like more likely than not that she didn't know he was
Judy
married.
says, she was like, we're not going to be the woman who blames the other woman. And it's like, Bambi's crime was being young and naive, which,
right.
I mean, send us all to jail.
Exactly. And then, you know, they obviously find out that Ted told Bambi that his wife was dead, which is horrifying. And so it's just sort of like, Bambi didn't do anything wrong. She had no way of knowing any of this.
She is named Bambi, which I know she can't help that, but she does put it on a necklace, Bambi with an eye.
She was leaning into the Bambi a little.
She's not faultless here, but
yeah, I mean,
we're on the record. This isn't new. I was about to frame it like it was new, but we love James Marsden and talk about
he's
someone
so
who doesn't get his due, his proper due.
Yeah, he definitely does not.
He just consistently turns it out. And he was such a douche in the show. Like,
such a shitbag. Just like at every turn, he was doing something else that was like just like triggering my gag reflex, where I just was like, ugh.
Well, and 4 out of 5 times I fell for it. I was like, okay, fine. But
yeah, but it really was one of those things where you're like, you don't realize, like, I don't know that I've ever seen James Marsden act this shitty in something. You know, he's always like, he's got that jawline and he's so handsome and he's so charming and he's such a cutie pie. And so I've never seen him be like a negative, like play a negative role. He's always like the football jock or, you know, the literal Prince Charming and Enchanted. It's always stuff like that. And this was like hilarious to watch because he was just so smarmy at every turn. I loved it.
We obviously think he's dead. I mean, he is dead.
I would be shocked if he's not.
I mean, it's just like it's episode 1 of season 2 could be him surfacing the pool like, you shot me. You know I mean? I don't know, but it's like, yeah, I am curious to see what this show is long form.
Yeah.
Because, you know, an immediate comparison, which is one I trot out a lot, is Desperate Housewives. And it's like, that show, for better or worse, has like one stellar season, like one, maybe arguably 2 good seasons, and the rest is just like, you know what I mean? I'm watching it. And that is another thing that has come out of the television landscape these days, is shows are having I started to say like gumption, but that's not what I mean. It's like some shows are running 2, 3, and 4 seasons. You know what I mean? Yeah. They're not overstaying their welcome the way that like the networks used to beat them over the head with. So,
right.
You know, we could top out at 3 seasons and have it just be kind of like a twisty turny thing. But
definitely, I definitely agree with that.
I'm very curious to see what season 2 looks like. And the only thing I have really seen from it is that I did see a headline saying that it ends in another just as good cliffhanger. So I don't know. Are they going to go kill Ted's wife or mother, rather?
Oh, God. I hope not. I mean, she's awful, but she's so fun.
Also, the stupid piece of shit kid. God.
I mean, he came around at the end. He came back.
That's true. I said,
apologized. Yeah.
It was August when I watched it, so.
Yeah, he came back and he apologized and he told her, I love you too. And she like freaked out. It was hilarious.
Who was the cop?
His name was Nick, but I don't know his acting name.
He was great, and he deserved better.
Brandon Scott?
Yeah, he was in Butcher's Block. Okay. We need to watch that. He was really great on Butcher's Block. They weirdly teamed him up with Krisha. So they were like this unlikely duo.
Okay.
But yeah.
Wow, he's like worked a lot. Oh, he was on Grey's Anatomy for 15 episodes.
No, he was really great, and he got shafted by these people.
Bummer.
So yeah, is there anything else that you wanted to touch on with the first season, or?
Yeah, no, I mean, I really liked it. I think it's the type of thing that I wish we didn't have to wait till actresses were in their 40s to let them have nuanced relationships like this. on screen, because I don't know of something with like young girls on like a TV show.
Well, you always
where
said
they're
like, Pretty
allowed
Little
to
Liars
have.
Was very.
Well, parts of it were, but overall it was like. Yeah, it was like a lot of keeping secrets from each other. And this is definitely keeping secrets from each other, but and maybe it's because you have to be older in order to have that kind of compartmentalized, nuanced relationship.
Mm-hmm.
That could definitely be, but I would love to see something like this with girls in their 20s. And before anybody comes at me with the TV show Girls, I would like to nip that in the bud immediately, because that's not what I'm talking about.
I kind of feel the exact opposite. I'm glad that we're at a point where women, people in general, but also female actors can come into their own and kind of into their prime at this point in their life and career, where it's like for both of these women, it would be over. And for both of them, and arguably more so Linda Cardellini, she's never been more.
No, I definitely agree with that. I am glad that this exists. I just would also like to see it with women of all ages, not just like
get Will Ferrell on the case.
Yeah, I'm like not just like I'm a widow and I've had, I killed your husband. Let's be friends. Like that's not really. I don't want only that.
You need a few more pearls out there, landlord Pearl.
Yeah, I need a couple more things.
So, the last thing I'll say before we go into season 2, and I'm sure it will also relate to season 2 as well, but it's reiterating the 30-minute point. It's nice in this era of binging, and there are so many shows that are so serious and so, big and long and indulgent and stuff. And people are like, you got to get through the first 17 seasons and then it gets good. You know what I mean? So it's like, it is nice to have something that is quality, but also completely consumable. Like,
oh yes. Yeah.
Like you can sit down and in an afternoon, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I really like it. Yeah. So bravo.
All right. Well, we will check in after season 2 then.
Okay. We watched season 2 of Dead to Me.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit.
Correct.
Okay. Are you there?
Yes. I am so there.
Go.
I mean, wow. It's one of those things where I almost always go into a season 2 of a show that's excellent, sort of bracing myself, like wondering when it's going to let me down, because it happens so often. Like so many times a show's second outing is, especially a show that's so critically acclaimed, it'll let you down in the second season, but this just didn't. It just didn't even a little bit. And in fact, I would argue it's better than season 1.
No, it's not an argument. I went ahead and texted Will. I was like, for what it's worth, I was like, this was excellent. This is me officially recommending it to you. Because we do nothing but talk about shows. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I want to I always try to clarify. I'm like, no, I'm actually recommending this to you.
Right. Yeah, no. I mean, he knows. I tell him when stuff is actual good too. But
I mean, every Friday we're like, you should watch Drag Race. You know what I mean? But it's like,
I mean, I think he knows that that's a little bit more like you might enjoy this, not like you have to see this.
But this was some next level storytelling, some next level character development.
Yeah,
because season 1 was good, but for me, season 1 it was good. It was like, oh, that was a good show, and there was something a little bit lighter about it. It was, and I mean, it's hardly a frothy show, but this season was so much better, so much stronger. It was so funny.
Yeah.
And not in a flashy way. Because one of the first comparisons that I came to was actually Santa Clarita Diet. It was a lot like Santa Clarita Diet. I mean, everything about it. The difference is it's more serious. It's more grounded.
And it's not supernatural at all.
No, but it's Southern California realtor with wealthy clients and hiding bodies and stuff. You know what I mean? It's very similar nosy neighbors. Karen could have easily been on Santa Clarita Diet.
Yes, as could her husband, Jeff, played by Mark Evan Jackson, who, look, here is my thing. I think he should be in every fucking TV show, and this did not dissuade me from that opinion.
You wouldn't believe how many times I gasped watching the show because I didn't see the stuff coming. And it was, the world was, because, okay, you have three, to be quite honest, absolute powerhouse anchors in this. Christina Applegate was doing so much with her face, and Linda Cardellini, I think it's easy to overlook her, and I'm not entirely sure why. Maybe it's the haircut. I don't know.
No, it's because she's almost putting on like a baby voice. And so I don't think people recognize that that's a character. And it also is the type of thing with people who are so easily able to embody the character that they're playing, where you're like, well, that's just Linda Cardellini being Linda Cardellini. And it's like, in fact, it's really not.
No, there's a handful of times where I was like, oh God, she's acting. And it's like, we caught glimpses into it in season 1, but in the episode in this season where she was like beating herself up in the bathroom, I like reached out. I was like, oh, I was like, stop. You know what I mean? And it just like, it touches on so many themes that we find so interesting. And well, we talked about with Glow, the concept of a female punching bag. It's not very, it's not widely explored for understandable reasons.
Yes. And I want to talk about that because I meant to bring it up when we were talking about season 1, but there is something that happens every time Linda Cardellini is having a confrontation with someone, whenever Judy is having a confrontation. And it happened more with Steve, but it happens a couple times in season 2 with Jen, where Judy will say, don't yell at me. And the person will say, I'm sorry. And she'll say, it's okay. Every single time, the back and forth are the exact same words. She did it like 6 or 7 times with Steve to the point that it pinged me. And I was like, wow. Because you're right about her being a punching bag. But I think she's a more... maybe not necessarily a more aware punching bag than Allison Brie and Glow, but I think she thinks she deserves it less than Allison Brie.
Well, based on what we've heard and then the glimpse towards the end of the season, it's been a constant in her life where Allison Brie messed up, presumably once.
Exactly. And so the thing that's so interesting to me is that she knows enough to stand up for herself, but then it's like as soon as she hears the trigger words of I'm sorry, she's like, no, it's fine. And that's like such a weird and interesting little tick to put in there that I think a lot of people might not have recognized as such a pattern for her. And it blew my mind. And especially because she was doing it for so long with Steve, and then she just basically replaced Steve with Jen. And so when Jen was getting into the same habits of being like, shut the fuck up, don't yell at me, I'm sorry, it's okay, it was just the exact same. And she even still has not really broken out of that behavior pattern. Like, that was never addressed.
Well, I mean, she kind of, when she...
Kind of.
She started to. Like, when she left Jen in the garage and, like, went to the car. And I genuinely didn't know what was going to happen in that scene.
Neither.
And
neither.
Frankly, so many scenes. Like, I just was watching the show just sort of, like, agape. Like, I was like, oh, my God. Like, this is so... And there was just so many layers of, like... I mean, we throw the word nuanced around, but there were just so many layers of abuse and micro abuse and like, but it wasn't all bad. You know what I mean? Like, it just like, I think because at a certain, well, to compare it to Glow again, it's like the back and forth with Betty Gilpin and Allison Brie. It's like at a certain point, Jen had stuff over on her and she was testing the boundaries on what she could get away with. And I think it was really interesting to compare that against the teenage son who is also testing boundaries with, her.
Definitely.
And I almost tweeted early on, I thought it would have been funny, but whatever, where I was like, I hope the end of this season is that they kill Charlie because I hate him. And I really like the way that they did flesh him out and make us like him while not just completely 180ing him.
No, totally, because he's still like a little shit, but he's like more appreciative of her, and it like goes a lot further.
It sort of showed that this family was already damaged before the inciting incident. Like, it's not as simple as, good mother, bad mother, but it's like he was behaving that way because he and his mom had underlying issues. And I really appreciated the way that they spoke to each other, because he would swear at her all the time and she'd be like, don't fucking curse at me, you fucking asshole. And it's just like, it was really funny and it felt really very real. I couldn't believe how real it felt. And there's even the scene where, was it Henry, the younger son? The little one,
yeah.
Swore in front of her and she kind of winced a little bit, but was just kind of like, I mean, that's just, what am I going to do here? And I've already blown past like 7 other things that I wanted to comment on, but James Marsden is in this season. Because for a second I was like, oh shit, did I call it? I was like waiting for him to have crawled out of the pool. And it was so funny. His performance in this season was the polar opposite of what he was doing last season.
Well, but it's like the standard James Marsden thing that we've come to love, where it was like when he was like acting as Ben and he was just all, sunshiny and everything. I was like, oh, this is the James Marsden I know.
So if you're listening to this and don't actually know, Steve had a twin brother, a near identical twin brother named Ben.
Semi-identical, I think they kept saying, which was ridiculous.
Who was like the opposite in every way. And just like, you could tell the immediate attraction and chemistry he had with Jen, with Christina Applegate, which is an accomplishment because I didn't feel that way about Steve, but I absolutely felt that way about Ben.
No, I know, me too, which is crazy. And I think it just is because, I don't know, that you're totally right, because I feel like Steve, it's so weird to talk about. James Marsden as Steve had so much chemistry with Linda Cardellini, and then James Marsden as Ben has so much chemistry with Christina Applegate, and they don't crisscross.
So if only James Marsden was in The Prestige, no one would have died. That was an extremely weird.
That was such a weird thing to bring up in this episode. We haven't even covered The Prestige yet.
Rebecca Hall wouldn't have hanged herself. He'd have been able to pull it off.
Probably not. Spoilers for The Prestige, apparently.
Is better than Christian Bale.
Well, I mean, I think we've all known that to be true for a while.
How unadulterated he was with his, like, goofy goody two-shoesness and just how charmed she was, and every single time he always took it a step too far. And it was like one where they were sitting in the car in like episode 4 or something, and he just like I think he said golly or something, and the way she grimaced, I was like alone in a room and I laughed out loud. Like, just at her, like
you know what he really felt like? He felt very much like a Newport from Parks and Rec. Like a really just a sunshiny granola hiking person.
And they just kept bringing people in. I never would have guessed that Detective Perez would be such a wealth of story and comedy. And talk about, there's actually so much to talk about, but I was super waiting for Jen and Judy to end up lesing out.
Okay.
I wasn't like committed to it, but I was kind of like, oh man, is this where we're going? And then enter Natalie Morales. What was her name?
Michelle.
I guess that's just her. I like looked her up because she plays a very similar role on Santa Clarita Diet.
She does, yeah.
I looked her up and she does identify as queer. And so I was like, I think this is just her whole deal, like her thing.
Yeah, hey, bring it on. I think she's just like trolling the Netflix lots going, you guys need a lesbian?
Charming.
You guys need a lesbian?
Because we talked about this on Santa Clarita Diet because she was weirdly Christian on that show. And I love when people mine topics for unexpected twists. Because Christopher, Jen's realtor partner, he's gay and also super Christian. Like, he leads the choir at him. I mean, it's California. That's like to be expected, but
sure, of course.
He like, because our friend Megan, who teaches Catholic school, she was like, that was one of the hardest things coming back to Maryland, was having to like to undo the liberal like attitudes towards
all the liberal learning that she did in Burbank.
Yeah, and so because it goes without saying in California, but how into the church choir they all were, because like Michelle was like, she was like, do you want to go to a movie? And Judy was like, do you want to go see my friend's child in a church choir? And she was like, that is not what I thought you were gonna say. And the word she kept using was weird. And then when they get there and they're actually performing it, oh my God, what were they singing?
Oh God, it was like Peter Gabriel or something.
But they did the thing where they replaced Baby with Jesus.
Yeah. Because it wasn't I'll Be Watching You, but it was like Peter Gabriel or Sting or like Genesis. I don't remember.
I thought it was more doo-wop-y, but
no. Well, there was a lot of doo-wop in this season, but I don't think they were singing it.
Regardless,
shit. I wish I could remember.
Like, it's somehow weirder than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And Henry's weird friend what was her name?
Shandy. I want to talk for like 11 hours about Shandy. I think Shandy is fascinating. And I also want to talk about Shandy's mom, who like doesn't know what she got into with this child somehow. It's incredible.
When I was watching season 1, I did not think, man, I hope we build upon this cast of characters that we're establishing. Yeah. Like, they were really using them. So many of them came back because also fucking Lorna.
She's amazing. I can't talk about her without getting a little emotional, but I love her. Her name is Valerie. Is it Maffey? It's like Mahaffey. Yeah. Regardless, I have liked her for most of my life.
In the first.
Did we talk about it on here or just together?
Yeah. Wings. Yeah, we talked about it. We talked about season 1.
Yeah, I love her. I still love her. She's been on shows my whole life, and she's great.
If I do have one criticism, it's I don't quite understand what the cliffhanger at the end was. Like, I understand what happened, but I was kind of like, okay, now what? Because I was thinking Lorna was going to end up trying to take the kids because we didn't see Jen change her will back.
Oh, well, I mean, she's not dead.
I mean, that's true, but still, I was thinking something along those lines. But
okay,
because the scene where she asked Lorna to be their legal guardian and Lorna was just like, oh my God, you're dying. How long do you have? And she's like, I'm not dying. She's like, are you sure? You look brittle. And like the way she was being so cutting. And then she just so savvy, like, mama's got you. She reaches into her purse and hands her a bottle of pills. Mm-hmm. And she was like, it'll help you sleep. You're only supposed to take 1, but you can take 2.
Mm-hmm.
And Jenna's like, Christ, Lorna, this is fentanyl. Where did you get this? And she just stares for a second and goes, I honestly don't know. And it was just like, it was this glimpse where we were like, wait, what? How?
Yeah.
Go back to that. And then, because we talked about the church choir with changing the song, then they did it for the memorial for Steve, where they were changing the lyrics to Amazing Grace, and it was so inappropriate.
Yeah.
And it feels like The Good Place or Parks and Rec or whatever, where it's like this reality is so close to ours, but it's just, 3 degrees to the left. That this is a thing people just do, and it's like wildly inappropriate. But
well, when they specifically sang that saved a wretch like Steve, that's when I was like, I beg pardon?
I liked he once was lost, but soon will be found. And
yeah.
His mother was Frances Conroy. We love Frances Conroy.
Love her.
They didn't really do anything with her.
I suspect it's going to be a little bit like Lorna, where going forward, we might have a little more of her in a season 3.
I'm pretty confident that this will continue because it's been number 1 all weekend. And I agree with you about Frances Conroy. I think we'll see her again. There's no way we don't. Mm-hmm. I really appreciated the cast of characters because even was it Nick? Is that what we decided? Yeah, Nick was
the
back.
Cop. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and we glossed over his arc when we were talking about season 1. What exactly was his deal? Why was it a surprise that he was back at the station?
Because he had been forced to take a leave of absence because of a psychiatric evaluation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because he was like white knuckling it through a lot of this. And
yeah. Well, he also, I think he and, what's her name? Anna? Yeah. The detective. Mm-hmm. I think they were also building a case against Howard Hastings, who was the chief of police, played by garage sale Bradley Whitford.
Was that in season 1?
Well, no, I don't think we ever actually said those words out loud. But in the finale, the last 2 episodes,
us to just like understand, to catch up.
Yeah,
and
well,
we did.
So we had seen the guy. His acting name is, I think it's Jerry Burns. We had seen him interacting with Steve and the Greeks
Mm-hmm.
So we knew once we found out about the money laundering, I think you were just supposed to be like, oh, he's involved in the money laundering. But it's like Anna gets that text when she's driving back from the woods with Jen, and it says, we got him, and it's from Nick.
Yeah, no, I got that. So it implies it was going on. And even the reveal, because that's another thing with the show, is it was really twisty, turny in like all the good ways, where it's like, so ever so often we would be just ahead of the characters, but sometimes we're behind them and sometimes we're right with them. And so like when Linda Cardellini brings him the flash drive, for a second I was kind of confused. I was like, I don't entirely know what's happening here.
Yeah.
And then she's like tells him where she's like, make sure you listen to it somewhere where the chief can't hear his voice. Yeah. And Nick is like, oh. And
then he's just like turning around in his chair going, oh shit. Oh, shit.
Yeah, and like I was doing the same thing where it was like, and it also had a really nice ebb and flow, like, or not even really ebb and flow, I guess I would say, arc, because it was like, it was really front loaded with the humor. So it got you in there laughing at it. And then there was a scene where they all have like their big family date. And then shit got real. Like shit got real serious. Because I felt a little bad because I had just tweeted something about how like I texted a few of my friends. I'm like, this show is so funny. And then immediately it took like a breakneck turn.
You're like, oh shit.
Into hard drama. But like, because I did not see the reveal, the Detective Perez reveal coming.
Oh, that she was
Michelle's roommate.
Michelle's roommate,
ex-girlfriend. Gotcha. So much so that when it cut to her walking in the apartment, I assumed they were doing some weird dissolve where we just like cut from one scene to the next. And I thought we were just at Detective Perez's house watching her come home. And then I was like, ah! It just, and all of her reactions every single time Judy was like popped up. Like,
yeah, Judy's such a fascinating character in that regard.
She really was. And I love the scene where she actually told off Perez.
Yeah.
About, because Perez was like, I'm watching you. And Judy's like, I am a good person, you know, and like told her off. And it is interesting. And again, I wasn't expecting a character arc from Detective Perez. Like, I wasn't expecting for her to be like, you know what? I am too hard on people. And I have been a cop too long because I am damaged and hurt. And like,
when Jen went to turn herself in and she just starts sobbing at the door because Michelle moved out. I like lost my shit. She was like, nobody wants to invite me to game night because what if she arrests us for smoking pot? And Jen is just like, that's not even illegal anymore. I was losing it. It's so funny.
Just the asides, it almost feels like a new form of humor.
Well, we felt the same about Santa Clarita Diet, and they are sort of like spiritual cousins.
Yeah, but Santa Clarita's slapstickier, where this, it's like every so often, you know, we've said several times, the 90s was ironic, the 2000s was dark, like, and we're going to like a more fun, like just nice place with comedy, which I like. I want that. But the way this mixed the nice with the nasty was masterful in tone. Like, because we talk about tonal inconsistencies a lot in things.
Yeah, but this really toes both lines.
Because you could almost get whiplash from like comedy to drama back to comedy. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have enough good things to say about it.
Same.
Oh, I only wrote like a couple notes and then I just started watching it. But I just wrote, whoa, what is Jen's issue with Sugar Ray?
Yeah, that was a lot. I was like, okay, all right. I was like, cool it.
She was like, name one good song. I was like, someday, every morning, answer the phone. Like, I just kind of...
I was like, every friggin' one, Jen.
Because there was a handful of times that the show did a plot that I was like, I kind of groaned a little bit. I was like, you're better than this plot. Like when Jen thought she dropped her phone in the grave where they buried Steve's body. Right. And I was like, come on, dead to me. You're better than this. And then not only were they better than it, because it ended up being used as a punchline, but it also was used as a springboard into a whole other scene. Because her finding the phone is what prompted, we didn't realize that because it was so subtle, but it's what prompted the police officer to pull them over. And just the back and forth with him, like the way he was going back and forth with them. And I did love when she was just like, I mean, I hate to say this, but we are two middle-aged women in a Mercedes. Like,
yeah, which were like two middle-aged white women in a Mercedes. And it's just sort of like the Arrested Development when Portia de Rossi is like, Michael, it's shoplifting and I'm white. I think I'm going to be okay.
But it's the step beyond that, though, because Judy was like, I appreciate that you're acknowledging your privilege, but now's not the time. Like,
yeah. I love to. It's so funny because they more than one character has called Judy a little woo-woo.
Really?
Like, for their taste. Yeah. So Jen did it, and then Michelle did it in season 2. She was like, that's a little woo-woo of an answer for blah, blah, blah. And I'm sure that that's like a writer's thing. But I do love that is apparently like how we're approaching women like Judy now. That we just are like, you're a little woo-woo, aren't you? And it just makes sense.
She's so that way that she's inspired more than one person to say that nonsense thing. It's
exactly.
I didn't even think about it when they set up that Ben had like the scars and all that. Like, I didn't think about the cancer stuff. And there was a part where I was like, oh shit, are we gonna go like mastectomy scars with this? And
it was implied, but
yeah, oh no, I mean it was there. We didn't go all the way, but it was a really interesting link between them that I just didn't even think of. And so when it happened, I was like, oh my God. Like, yeah, I am very surprised by how thoughtful, how well written, acted, made this was. It's an early frontrunner for me for this year.
I mean, it's May. We're almost halfway through.
Sure. I mean, this is when I clung to the Society, so.
That's true. And that is not on the horizon, apparently, so.
Yeah, I'm like, it needed to be.
Me too. I agree.
I mean, there's plenty more. How do you feel about Karen? I would feel even more sorry for her if she wasn't also awful, where it's like, Karen, shut up.
Yeah, she is like 2'11", and she really, I feel almost like she has face blindness because she doesn't recognize that these women are going through traumatic emotions every time she's trying to best friend the fuck out of them.
Yeah, she can't read the room because Linda Cardellini just turned around and ran away from her.
Amazing.
I laughed so hard. She just turned around and ran. Just no explanation. No, like
full tilt too. She was like going.
It was like the anime run.
Yeah, like a Naruto run. Yeah, it was hilarious. I don't know. It was, man, because that's the other thing. This is not, like you said, a very slapsticky show. It's not like rife with physical comedy, but they managed to make their physicality funny.
Oh my God. Yeah. So I did tease the end. What was your take there? I just thought it was odd. Did you think it was odd?
No. Odd in what way?
For a show that was so tight and so well plotted and had earned all of its contrivances or conveniences, it was like, so he was going to see Jen, but he got wasted and then was driving there as fast as possible.
He was not going to see Jen.
So then why was he in her neighborhood? He
got the call that they found his brother.
Yeah.
In the woods, and I think he was just getting drunk and driving around.
In the middle of the day, just speeding through neighborhoods. It just didn't. It felt sloppy. And then he crashed into them and then just drove away. And it's like...
Well, that kind of ties back into the like city council thing where she was like, you need to put this stop sign in. And they were like, it could cause more accidents than...
Oh, I didn't think about that. That's hilarious.
Yeah, so I like there's irony all around. Also, you know, he seemed like the really, really nice one, and then he did a hit and run too.
Okay, I didn't think about that either.
Yeah.
But it sort of was like the three of them know each other, so it's like, where is the conflict?
Well, I mean, if he is drunk and he doesn't even know who he hit, I mean, there's like a lot. And if he just is like, I'm drunk, I'm going to go to prison.
I couldn't see season 3 unfold in front of me the way that like I could. And granted, I was wrong, but I was just sort of like, okay, so what does that mean when it was over?
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree with you. I think that's a little more exciting.
That you don't know where they're going to go from here?
Yeah.
Sure. It kind of, like I said, I just kind of was like, oh, okay. It felt like a completely different thing and not know what now. It was like, so instead of what now, I was like, well, what does that mean? Like, are they going to shake it off? And like, because Jen woke up at the end. So I was like, okay. It was odd to me.
Yeah. It's a little odd. I don't think it's quite as good as the shock of the cliffhanger of season 1, but I do think it poses a lot of interesting questions.
Well, and at this point, I mentioned in our season 1 chunk of coverage where I was like, this doesn't feel like a show that needs to go on forever, and I stand by that. Having said that, this season proved that this is a character-based show, so it's like they do need mysteries to be like maneuvering around, but I will be watching season 3 because I like these characters and want to see more of them, not because I need to know what happened, like what the answer is.
That's fair.
So, yeah, cool. Well, like I said, I was very, very impressed. And not to imply season 1 wasn't good. It was. It just it was doing very necessary groundwork to get us to this part. So
season 2 just hits in a different way. Definitely. All right. Well, that is it for us. We obviously recommend Dead to Me. It's on Netflix, season 1 and 2. 20 total episodes, half an hour each. You can plow through it if you really want to. And then, as always, you can follow us on Twitter, @SoI'mWatching, Instagram, @SoI'mWatchingTheShow. We also have a website, soimwatching.com, where you can follow along with all of our posts and episodes and stuff. And then anything else? No. Fuck, I totally lost everything in my brain. You can also rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes or wherever you listen. Seriously, it was like a black spot.
I know how that is, girl.
Oh, God.
Was she his secretary?
She was like his assistant.
She's like, hey, girl, hey. I know, girl, right? And then Linda Cardellini kept doing it back to her.
Awful. Okay, cut us off now, or we'll just talk about our favorite jokes the whole time. Bye.
We didn't talk about Katie Sagal.
Oh, God damn it.